Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Estevao talks about loving life at Chelsea so far. Marc Guiu is fed up with the lack of game time and is really pushing for a January loan move. Chelsea want to spend £80 million on a Premier League forward. Chelsea have addressed the interest of Real Madrid when it comes to Enzo Fernández. And apparently, Chelsea are bidding for Ivan Toney, and we have the breakdown of the offer right here. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k subscribers by the end of 2025. You can also use the hype button, which is a new YouTube feature which helps push this video out to a bigger audience. Kicking things off, Geg Lobo has reported what Estevao said when it comes to life at Chelsea so far. He says, "I'm really enjoying it. The club gives us everything we need. I've already walked around London a lot and seen the tourist attractions. It's a city with a lot of history and I want to know more. I've fallen in love. I can't complain. The facilities are perfect, the quality of the pitch, everything. I'm truly impressed." He goes on to talk about Chelsea fans. He says, "It's incredible. In the last game when I was warming up, you could feel that people expect something from me, and I'm very happy about that. I want to try and repay it on the field and make them proud. I can see how much they value me and want me there. My feeling is that I can't let them down. I want to help and make them proud." He then goes on to talk about his teammates, and he says, "Andre Santos and João Pedro are spectacular. They are not here for nothing. Of course, I've been getting closer to them since the beginning. When you arrive, you don't know what things are like, but you learn. The training intensity is higher here, and that reflects in the game. I'm managing to keep up with the pace." I absolutely love everything about Estevao right now. He scored a brace yesterday for Brazil against South Korea, and it was an unbelievable performance from him. And the fact that he's 18 years old genuinely blows me away. And I love the mentality that this kid has got. He even said about the fans, "It's incredible. In the last game when I was warming up, you could feel that people were expecting something from me, and I'm happy about that." This guy wants to put the pressure on his shoulders and play with it. He's not shying away from things. He's not letting it get on top of him. He just oozes confidence, and he's completely fearless, and the talent is just unbelievable. Genuinely, I know they say this phrase a lot of the ceiling is, as high as he wants it to be, or the sky's the limit. It genuinely is with Estevao. I don't want to get carried away because he's 18 years old and it's his first season in the Premier League, but he is just, all of a sudden, it's clicked. Where it is that higher intensity training, where he's adapting a little bit. I love the fact that his teammates like João Pedro and Andre Santos, and obviously everyone else, but obviously the Brazilian connection. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter calling it the Holy Trinity, the Brazilian Trinity, or whatever it may be. They clearly get on very well, and they're all very highly skilled players. Like, they just are, and it's just so nice to see that Estevao is being welcomed in and he's being treated well. And for him, think of it from his perspective, right? He was playing in Brazil. He comes here and he's like, wow, London's amazing. It's full of history. I want to learn more about it. The facilities are amazing. The intensity of the training is incredible. My teammates are amazing. Like, he must just feel so welcome, so at home, but also he's not letting it overwhelm him. He's just taking it in his stride. And honestly, the way that this season goes with Estevao is going to be extremely interesting, because honestly, this guy, we all know it. We know how good he is. But it's also really nice to hear things from him himself. Like, he's very self-aware, and a lot of the players are when it comes to the fans and the life of London, etc., what's expected of them. But the fact that he's come out and said, like, I was warming up, people, you could feel that people expect something from me. I want to repay the fans. I want to make them proud. I want to help the team and make the fans proud. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that mentality, and he is doing it already. That winner against Liverpool is just the start of something absolutely phenomenal. And like, in the international break, he's gone and got a brace at 18 years old. This guy is unbelievable, and I know that there's Ballon d'Or shouts and Ballon d'Or clauses and whatnot, but I feel like if he does, and again, I don't want to be premature with this because it's literally the start of the season, if he continues to go the way he's going and develops and blossoms into even more of a better player, then I don't think Ballon d'Or shouts are actually that far-fetched. And we are so lucky and so blessed that he plays for Chelsea, mate, because unbelievable player. Unreal. I'm so happy with how he's settling in. I'm so happy with how Maresca's handling him. Yes, a lot of us fans, myself included, have been very angry that we've not seen more of Estevao, because he is a player that gets you on the edge of the seat. He is a fearless player that oozes confidence, that wants to take his man on, always wants to create something. His decision making in the final third isn't as good as we want it to be, which is perfectly normal. He's 18 years old. He's going to have some inconsistencies in his game, but it's over. You don't really worry about that too much because of how good he is in every other facet of his game. He's such an exciting player, and I'm just genuinely so happy that he plays for Chelsea, and I'm happy for him. I love the fact he wants to make us proud. But Estevao has also spoken about Enzo Maresca. Estevao says that Maresca tries to speak to him in Spanish. He says, Maresca makes a point of speaking Spanish with me, to understand me, to comprehend me. I think that's really nice of him, and I listen to what he's saying. Again, this is like the little things that you do that leave a lasting impression, that type of thing. That Maresca doesn't have to speak to him in Spanish. He could be like, nah, you got to go learn English. A lot of players that come across to England or wherever you go, whether it's Germany or France or whatever, there will be infrastructures and systems set up for players to go and learn the native tongue of that place if they want to, and they can take lessons. I've seen lots of podcast clips of older players from 20 years ago. It's like, oh yeah, when I moved to, I think it was Gary Lineker, when he went to Barcelona, he had Spanish lessons. And there was a few other players, and they were like, some of them really weren't bothered. Some of them really wanted to learn the language. So they they made it part of their sort of contract to at least have like one lesson a week. Obviously, it's very different now, but I feel like with Maresca speaking to the players in their native tongue, it just helps, one, communicate, and two, it shows that level of care from the manager. Jose Mourinho used to do a similar thing with a lot of these players, and he'd speak different languages to them. But I feel like over time, they naturally learn English, and you understand a bit more. But, I look back at someone like Diego Costa. Diego Costa still doesn't speak like perfect English or very good English, but he was able to communicate with a lot of players that, speak in Portuguese, or the managers speak in Portuguese. And the simple with that, guys, give me the ball. I'm just going to go and attack people, and I'm going to put the ball in the net, and that's what I'm going to do. So I really like that Estevao's making notes of things like this as well. It's like, I'm just going to listen to him. I respect him. He's going to obviously be teaching me how to do things and develop my game. But the fact that he's speaking to me in Spanish, I really respect that. It's a really nice thing for him to do. So I just love how the club are welcoming him. They're making him feel very welcome, very at home. It's a home away from home from him. He's travelled halfway around the world to be with us at 18 years old. It's a big, big thing. But he's taken it in his stride, and he looks so, so happy. So I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Estevao in terms of where do you think his ceiling is? Do you think Ballon d'Or shouts are naive, or do you think they're genuinely conversations we could be having in the next couple of seasons? Where do you see his career going? Do you think he will stay at Chelsea for a long time, or will he use this as a stepping stone and maybe leave in about 2 or 3 years when he does reach some heights of the next level of his ability? I feel like Estevao will want to stay with us for a little while. I feel like he can be that new Hazard-esque type player. I'm not comparing them like for like. That's not what I'm doing. But I mean a player that gets us on the edge of our seat, has unbelievable talent, and just does everything for the club. And then, hopefully if he is ever to leave, which is inevitable at some point, let's say, like Hazard did, he left, in my opinion, on the right terms. He got us a massive transfer fee, and he won us a trophy. He did everything for the fans and said, right, I'm off now. And we all went, do you know what? Fair enough. You've done that in the right way. And there's been players in the past that have done it in the horribly wrong way, like Lukaku, for example, right? So I feel like, yeah, I'm going to stop waffling, but I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Estevao and the way that he's talking about Chelsea life and Chelsea fans. Andy Dillon 70 has reported that Marc Guiu is becoming increasingly fed up at the lack of game time at Chelsea following an emergency recall and is eyeing a loan return to Sunderland. Players can only turn out for 2 different clubs in any one campaign, so there are no rules preventing him from going back. Now, this has been a conversation in the last sort of week or so with all the news coming out about Guiu wanting a loan move, and the most common perception is, well, we can't play for three clubs in a campaign. Fair enough, warranted. Andy has literally laid that out, saying you can only play for 2 clubs in one campaign. So when it comes to January, if he wants to go on loan, people are like, well, he can't do that. He's played for Chelsea now. He's played for Sunderland as well. He can't go anywhere. And I always thought that you could return to the loanee club at another stage in the campaign. For example, with Marc Guiu, we didn't recall him from a loan. We didn't have a recall clause. We terminated that loan after a number of, I think it was like 3 games that he played for Sunderland. They agreed to it. So it was like a 3-game loan. It's finished, right? It still counts as a club that he's turned out for. And then he's also played for Chelsea. So in theory, the way the rules are laid out, there is no reason why he can't be loaned straight back to Sunderland in January for the rest of the season. And it still counts as he's only played for 2 clubs. Rather than, oh, well, you can't be loaned to anyone more than once in a season. I know it could get a bit sticky because it's like, well, you're going to loan him here for 6 months, loan him there for 6 months, play a few games for us. It's a bit of a mess. But and it is a bit of a mess anyway, to be honest. We should have left him on loan. I know that we've obviously done this, and I'm hoping that he does get some minutes for Chelsea now. He has played under Maresca in the last game. But if he's becoming increasingly fed up with a lack of game time, which I do not blame him, by the way, I do not blame him at all, because he would have been getting a lot more minutes at Sunderland. Yes, again, he's not the main number 9 there, but he would have been getting a lot more minutes than he has been getting on the bench at Chelsea after the recall. So I don't blame him for wanting to go back. And if the only option for him is to go back to Sunderland, and Sunderland are happy to do that, then I feel like that will happen in January. We'll have Delap back. We'll have, obviously, João Pedro can then have some rotation and some rest. And again, that then gives us a decision of, do we then go get Amiga early, bring him in January, and loan Marc Guiu back to Sunderland because we're allowed to do that? Or do we just keep Guiu to the end of the season and he is that third rotation striker and we actually give him some minutes across the season? I don't know. I'd be happy either way. I want to see this player develop, but I also want to see him play for Chelsea. So I would be happy either way, whether he goes on loan or stays. But that's just my opinion. I'd like to know your thoughts down below regarding the Marc Guiu loan scenario. What do you think is the best solution for all parties? Would you loan him back to Sunderland in January because we're able to do so? Would you keep him at Chelsea and just give him minutes to see him develop in a Chelsea shirt? Curious to know your thoughts. Flashscore have reported that Chelsea are relaxed over the future of midfielder Enzo Fernández despite interest from Real Madrid. They're relaxed as his contract, which runs until 2032, gives them the power to demand a huge fee from the Spanish side. I speak about this tongue-in-cheek all the time. The Enzo Fernández Real Madrid links never ever stop. Every international break, every transfer window, there is so much that comes out that Real Madrid are monitoring, Real Madrid want a bid, Real Madrid want Enzo Fernández, Fernández wants to go to Madrid, Fernández's best friend plays for Atletico, Fernández he's buying a house in Madrid, he's moving. It never really stops. And I feel like at some stage, if Enzo Fernández ever wanted to leave Chelsea, which I currently think he doesn't want to do, then he will go get that Madrid move. And I feel like that Chelsea are in the best position ever because we've instilled our future within Enzo Fernández and said, look, we want you to be one of the main men, one of the core players of this squad. And he's very important behind the scenes from what we've read about what players are saying in previous videos about how he's one of those important pillars at Cobham and in the dressing room. He's also vice captain. So he has an important, lasting impression. He's a very good player too. But if he does want to go to Madrid, Chelsea can go, all right, cool. If you want that move, fine. Madrid, you need to pay up X amount of millions, 100 M's at least, whatever it may be. I know that the quote at the moment is 130 million euros, and Madrid are like, we're not paying that. But when we've got a player under contract to 2032, we kind of charge what we want. We're obviously not going to want to lose money on Enzo Fernández, and I know that we spread it out over time, or amortize, or whatever the phrase is. But it does mean that Chelsea can go, all right, cool, if you want him, you can either wait 6 years and then still pay 80 million or whatever, depending on if he goes up in value or whatever. Or you just don't get him. Simple as that. And I feel like Chelsea are in a perfect position. I don't think Enzo Fernández wants to move currently. I feel like it would be naive to think that Enzo doesn't want a Madrid move, because every player either wants to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona at some point in their career, unless they're playing in Spain, or even if they are. It's usually Barcelona, Madrid, Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, all the top teams. But when it comes to Barcelona and Madrid, though, they seem to pip everyone else in terms of that's the epitome, that's the dream, I want to play there. It's just natural. They're the biggest, two of the biggest clubs in the world, and Real Madrid arguably the biggest club in the world. So it doesn't surprise me if players want to go there. But I just don't see a world where Enzo Fernández goes in like immediately. I feel like this could be something that happens in 4 or 5 years' time, potentially. But I don't see it happening right now. And if Chelsea have got him under contract to 2032, I also don't see Real Madrid paying mega money for him. So it'd be very interesting. But I like Chelsea's stance on this, because they're like, okay, cool. You're under contract for a long time. If they want to come in for you, sweet. They're going to have to pay mega money to buy your contract out. So I think it's the best position that Chelsea can be in. And like I said, I don't think Enzo Fernández actually wants to move as of right now. But could be wrong. Not to put words in his mouth. He may well want that move. I don't really know. But I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. Do you think Enzo Fernández is happy at Chelsea? Will he stay here a long time? Do you feel like Chelsea are in a good position because of the long-term contract, so we can charge what we want? Do you see Madrid paying massive money for him? Or does Enzo push for this move in the next couple of seasons? Let me know your thoughts down below. According to this source, which I cannot pronounce and I apologise, Chelsea are interested in signing Bournemouth forward Semenyo and are willing to pay around £80 million. This looks incredible on the surface. However, I do actively avoid this source because they come out with some absolutely wild reports. However, there is another report which kind of backs this up. Football Transfers has reported that Chelsea submitted a £1 million offer for Semenyo on the 26th of January in 2019, as per the Daily Mail's reports. However, Bristol City wanted closer to £2 million for the teenager, and the proposed deal failed to materialise. Now, yes, reaching. I'm taking a very unreliable source, in my opinion, and something that's relatively, reported well in terms of Football Transfers and Daily Mail combined, saying that we did want him in 2019 and we just didn't pay enough money to Bristol City. They wanted 2 million, we only offered 1 million. But when you put them together, it does mean that Chelsea have been, having an interest and looking at Semenyo for a long time now, from a teenager to now. So I don't feel like the first source, I just can't pronounce it and I do apologise. I don't think it's actually that far off the mark, potentially. Will Chelsea go spend £80 million on him? Probably, because Chelsea like to spend big money on youngsters. And honestly, how Semenyo is still at Bournemouth, I don't know. What an absolute baller he has. What season he is having. The back of last season, he was fantastic. The start of this season, unbelievable. Like, he is the standout player for Bournemouth, and he is winning them games and contributing every single game. He's an exciting player. He can finish from anywhere. He is an incredible player. I don't know how we'd fit him in our squad, for being honest, and this wouldn't be until summer as a minimum, because we reported in yesterday's video Chelsea have no plans for the January transfer window in terms of buying new players. They made this very clear over the last 2 or 3 days that they're not getting a goalkeeper. They're going to say no to Mike Maignan. They don't want a centre back. They think that we've got enough depth for it, and they're not really planning to do much in the January transfer window. So if this was to happen, I'd be very, very surprised. I would definitely say yes to it. This would be an amazing signing. But it does raise a few more questions than it answers for me, because I don't know how, if he comes in, then we have to get rid of someone else to then make him fit in the system. Is he a Maresca player? Is this the sporting directors and higher up just admiring the player and see it as a good opportunity for £80 million? Because let's be real, in his current form and the way he was playing last season, his next move is going to be for big, big money, because he's playing out of his skin at the moment. He's playing unbelievable football. And I really rate him. I think it's class. He's also saving my FPL week in, week out. I'm going to be brutally honest. If you've not got him on FPL, you need to, because he racks up points every week because of how well he is playing. But I just find that when you put these two reports together, it kind of makes sense. You read between the lines. It looks like Chelsea have been interested in Semenyo for a long time. We failed to get him as a teenager. He's now gone on to develop. He's now, a very, very good footballer in the Premier League. So if Chelsea are sniffing around and interested with our infinite list of transfer targets that we like, then I'm not surprised he's on that. And £80 million doesn't even sound too far-fetched in his current form and how he's been playing. And also what Chelsea would be willing to pay in terms of what they have spent on youngsters before. We spent, £55 million on Jamie Gittins, who's younger and not as experienced. We spent over 100 M's on Enzo and Caicedo because we knew they were the right players. We won in around 70 million for Jackson. We got over 50 million for Noni Madueke. I don't think 80 million is actually that far-fetched, considering how good the player is. If he can do this for the entire season, then he's fully worth the 80 million pounds. Fully worth it, in my opinion. And like I said, if we can fit him in the squad and it makes sense for the way that Maresca plays in this system, go for it. But that's just the only thing that I'm not as educated on as maybe some of you guys are, is if we did bring him in, we'd have to get rid of some players. Would he play frequently? What's his main position? He plays everywhere. Is he an Enzo Maresca signing? Is he a director signing in terms of their interest and market opportunities? Who actually knows? But I just thought it was very interesting that these two reports together kind of make something coherent, which makes a little bit more sense than the first source straight out, because honestly, some of the reports they've come out with are wild reports, so I've just never really taken it too seriously. Not to say they're always wrong, because they're not. They have got a few things right, but most of the time it's just so left field. But I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding this Semenyo. Chelsea interested for £80 million. Obviously, it now surfaced that in 2019 we failed to get him for £1 million from Bristol City. They wanted closer to £2 million. And yeah, we just didn't pay the money. So let me know your thoughts and opinions. Is this a long-term Chelsea interest? Is this a market opportunity? Is this pure waffle for clicks and engagements because we're in an international break? What are your overall thoughts of Semenyo? Is he worth 80 million? Would you take him at Chelsea? If we was to sign him, who would we get rid of? Because we have a mountain of players coming into the squad as of the end of the season. So makes things very, very interesting. IndyCar News have reported an exclusive. Chelsea FC to make official offer for Ivan Toney in January, and they've broken it down to a 6-month loan, 70% wages covered, and a loan with an option to buy. Now, we covered the original story when IndyCar reported that Chelsea were interested in Toney, going in for him in January, and I mentioned then that, again, I'm a bit, I don't really know how reliable the source is because, again, he's missed a lot of the marks, but he's also had sources and reports backed up by the likes of David Ornstein at times too. So it kind of, I'm kind of sitting on the fence whether it's true or not. The way I look at this is it makes sense to a point, then it doesn't at all. So a 6-month loan, fair enough. If we feel like we desperately need a forward in January, a loan would be the best option. Ivan Toney is an incredible player who's Prem proven, can score goals. Yes, I know he takes penalties too, but he's Prem proven, a bit older. He's just a goal scorer. He bags goals. That's what we need, right? 70% of the wages covered for me is where it doesn't make sense. Because he's on outrageous wages at Saudi, and fair enough, so a lot of players go there. 70% of his wages currently works out that we would be paying around £270,000 a week, which is more than what Reece James is on. And I know it's a 6-month loan, but I don't see Chelsea paying close to £280,000, £300,000 a week for Ivan Toney when we're looking to offload Raheem Sterling. Because we just don't want to be paying that sort of money. And I know it's only for 6 months, so you can kind of spread it out. If you did it over a full season, I suppose that money works out of what, like 140-ish, 150 a week, which is, I think, very, very reasonable for someone like Ivan Toney. But it's not going to be amortised like that because it is a 6-month loan, apparently. And then it's a loan with an option to buy. Chelsea are not going to go buy Ivan Toney. He's too old for their model. He's too old for their model. It's just not going to happen, is it? So I wanted to react to it and obviously speak about it and get your guys' thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. I can't English today, I don't know why. And have a conversation about this because I think Ivan Toney would be a fantastic addition to Chelsea's squad. When you think about the front three that we would have from January, if this loan comes to fruition, right? Is you'd have Delap, João Pedro, who could play that role. Let's say Marc Guiu goes back to loan on Sunderland. Ivan Toney would be that third. So in theory, you could have João Pedro in rotation in that 10 role with Cole Palmer, which is more of his better suited position. And your two forwards would be Delap and Ivan Toney in rotation. That would be unbelievable. Like, genuinely would. And if we did manage to do this in January, mate, I'm all for it. I would love to see it happen. I just don't think it's going to happen at all based on the 70% wages alone, let alone the fact that Ivan Toney is well above the age of the project in terms of player ages. But I like the fact that a 6-month loan could be something that we need. Just an injection of experience for that short period until we then have a meagre come at the end of the season for next season, along with a long list of other players we've already pre-signed, etc. Loan with an option to buy would be amazing. Could you imagine Ivan Toney in a Chelsea shirt? He would bag so many goals with the amount of chances we create because he's a bagsman, in my opinion. So yeah, I thought it would be very, very interesting to react to this, have my own thoughts and opinions, talk to you guys about it. Let me know what you guys think down below regarding Ivan Toney to Chelsea. Do you see it happening? I personally don't think this would happen at all. I think this is just waffle. There was a report from IndyCar just prior to this saying at 10 p.m. we got exclusive around Ivan Toney and Chelsea, and the source is very, very close to Chelsea. And I'm like, I just don't know. And to be fair, a lot of reports go around. That's obviously why I do reactions to it, give my opinions and ask for yours, because you just never know what's going to be said about Chelsea on a daily basis. But yeah, apparently this is what it is. 6-month loan, 70% wages covered, loan with an option to buy. On paper, it looks amazing. When you really break it down, it doesn't make any sense. Chelsea are not going to be paying close to £300k a week to cover 70% of his wages, in my opinion. And I think he's too old for the project. However, ignoring that, what a bagsman. Would love him in a Chelsea shirt. He would score so many goals. But let me know your thoughts down below. And that's the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.